Welcome to Startup Greece Talks. On this episode, I will meet Vasilis Danias from Bitloops. Welcome, Vasilis.
Thank you, Thanos, for having me.
It's my pleasure to have you tonight, and I hope you're gonna enjoy the whole interview, and we're gonna learn more about Bitloops, and for sure we're gonna start. And I would like to ask you, right now, where are you? Where am I? I saw that you were in Vietnam, you are in the US, in the UK. Where are you right now?
I'm back home finally for all the vacation and trying to get last minute gifts for everyone. But I'm really glad to be back home and like on my bed after 6 weeks.
Okay, have you recovered from the jet lag or not yet?
Yeah. Because I was going basically around the world, I was gradually changing time zones, and I got delayed in London, so I spent 3 days there. So I had time to adjust.
Okay, great. So I would like to ask you more about your background, and if you have, I know your past. We have met before. I know your past, but please share it with the audience, and I would like to learn more about if you have ever imagined that you will be an entrepreneur, and is this something that happens after your experience on the companies that you were, or is something that you had like a dream that it was your, let's say, in your childhood?
Yeah, actually, I was always thinking about doing things. I had a very entrepreneurial mindset. When I was at school, I would think like, what could I do to make some money and get the computer I wanted, the graphics card I wanted, and so on. So I would always come up with different ideas. I was actually trying to find the ways to start like a tech company even before I was 18. Quite complicated back then, both because I was underage, but also because things were really slow and difficult to deal with, with the euphoria and so on. But things are definitely much better now. Yeah, so it was always something I enjoyed. I always problem solve, and if there's something I want to do, doing it, starting a startup to do it, it's the best way to get it
So
done.
how you come up with idea of Bitloops, and is it something that is let's say on the process that you had the experience from the previous companies, and you said that something is missing, or you found the problem, and then you said, okay, we have something, so there is a solution that
Yeah,
probably might fit to the market.
yeah, exactly. That's always what I say also to young people that are thinking of going to entrepreneurship, dropping out of university or doing things like that. It's always really valuable to work in companies and see what their pains are, and you get the best ideas from that. It's very few things B2C can become really big, and it's really difficult to create the next WhatsApp or the next Viber and so on, the next Facebook. But there are a lot of opportunities on B2B kind of setting if you understand the problems of an industry. It's always a lot easier, and you see the problem, you see the pain, you feel it, and you want to solve it. So
Okay,
in
so
previous companies, I worked in several big ones. After my studies, that I studied AI and software engineering for my undergrad, I worked a bit at UBS Investment Bank, and then Accenture in Athens. And after my MBA that I did following that, I worked for Uber in Greece, Singapore, and then at Bit that you know as well. So in all these companies, I saw like how difficult it was always for people to find enough engineering resources to create features, to change things, to improve systems, to fix problems. Always users and employees, would wonder like, why the hell are we not fixing this? It's so important for the business. Why can we fix it? And then business would ask engineering, like, how long does this need to be fixed? It's a big t-shirt size. We need several months to fix it. And you're like, why? And looking more into this, I've grown a much better understanding about what the problems are. and we think we have a way to a solution.
Okay, so what is your startup? What is the solution that you provide?
I mean, in a very short description is that Bitloops is a software development platform that empowers developers to be the best they can be and maximize their productivity.
So right now you believe that we can measure and you can say that we will have a better projection of when a solution could be provided by the developers because the market, as you said before, you don't know when exactly a feature will be launched, too many bugs and things. Uh, everything is not easy actually to predict or to make a prediction of how we can to set up the timeline in order to have something um, up to the web or to the market.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when you're doing something new, it's very difficult to estimate how long it's going to take if you have never done it before. Whereas for products and systems that are a bit more mature and you have done similar tasks again and again, then it's easy to get a pretty good estimate about how long it's going to take to fix. But the big problem is not really that. The big problem is that software engineering as a discipline has big problems. Wikipedia defines software engineering as the application of a systematic, disciplined, quantifiable approach to the development, operation, and maintenance of software, applying engineering to software development. But while other engineering disciplines such as mechanical engineering or civil engineering have very specific and standardized principles, this is not the case with software engineering. There are definitely no acceptable rules, regulations, or practices about how software engineers should work. And unfortunately, universities also do not help towards the right direction on this either. While in most company environments, it's more important to write code that is easy to understand, understandable by the developers, easy to test, maintain, and evolve. What students actually learn is how to save a few bytes of memory or disk by naming their variables like really short, or writing code that tends to be over optimized, but it's really hard to read and understand. Even the same person that wrote it, if they see it after a few days, they don't understand how it works and they don't remember. So these are only small examples that are touching just the surface of this problem, and we try to fix the situation a lot, like helping developers understand how to build software better and use good design in their software, so that when time passes, it doesn't become more difficult and more difficult to add features. Because right now, the result of all this situation is that a company builds a new software system. In the beginning, adding new features happens very quickly. You can add the feature in a couple of hours. Developers feel amazing. I'm so cool. I can done. But then the business is happy. It grows. Everything is going well. After a year, 2 years, things become very difficult. The system starts having bugs. You ask people for a new feature, then they're saying, I don't know how long that's going to take. We don't know what's going to break if we change that. It's in a part of the system that we haven't touched for a while. We don't remember how it works. There are these kind of problems. And then business just needs their feature. They put pressure on engineering to get something fast out. Engineering cuts more corners, tests less potentially, and then they dig themselves deeper and deeper until they reach a point that the system is so expensive to modify that it's better just throw it away, build a new one, and then face the same problems down the road again. And this happens to a lot of businesses. There are some that have the discipline, have great people, great senior software engineers that can have the discipline. But that's the whole problem, that the whole industry is based on human discipline and not in processes and systems. So we want to take this, let's say, wisdom and experience of senior software developers and put in a system that guides even more junior people to write systems in a better way. So looking at the code that somebody with 1 year of experience wrote, somebody would think that they have like 5 years of experience. That's the main idea.
That's great, and I believe that there is huge potential in that. So how's the I think that there is a change. You have great experience as a general manager as a GM on companies in mobility, and you changed. You are right now the CEO of Bitloops. So how's that changed to do your own startup and to actually to be a general manager of an enterprise? And I'm asking that because you know you have to solve problems in both situations, and you have to be with lots of different teams. Right now you are mostly working with engineers, and you have to solve issues and problems with engineers. So how you manage to build this business, and how easy it's for you to build something for engineering, for teams of engineers?
Yeah, at Bit also I managed a team of engineers for the Greek market. So I already had some people I was working with, and was facing a lot of these problems already. So I definitely have some experience working with them and know what they like, what they dislike, and myself being an engineer as well helps a lot with understanding them a lot better. Um, so yeah, it wasn't like a complete switch that I switched from business into looking
Engineer.
at code again after 10 years, and I was doing a bit coding as well during Beat, especially for when we had like a deadline and we had to during COVID, for example, we had to create a new product for deliveries to get some cash in because the rides had dropped 90%. So if the team had to work overtime, I was there helping them so that they could feel that we're all in this together. So it
So
wasn't such a big difference from that, I guess. But the big difference was that at Beat we had funding, we had the revenues coming in, we had product market fit, we had a product that we could grow every year double digits, very nice. But it was already established. We could do new things, new ideas. But now you have to have enough funding. You have to worry about that. You have to worry about actually finding product market fit, making sure that what you have in mind is what people actually want
really want.
and need. Yeah, and in our case, it's a bit difficult because it's not again a B2C kind of thing that you just create something and then you test it out and see if they like it or not, because it has actual substance. You're solving an engineering problem. So what I used to say also in the mobility space was that right incentives are like gravity. If you put the right incentives in place, they're going to work, right? Eventually, they're going to pull things. So I think the same applies here. Like if you create something that is actually creating value, if it saves you time, if it helps you in the long term to manage the project better and without having bugs and so on, it's then a matter of like communicating this properly, finding the right way to get your product to market. So it's a challenging situation from that perspective, that it takes a bit more
So
time.
I understand, and I see the how you manage it and what's going on. So and you told me, and it was a very good pass in order to talk to tell me more about the market fit and how you can find the product market fit, and if you have find it already, and if you can find any patterns that you could say that these kind of teams, these kind of engineers could be helped by our product, by our service that we are providing.
Yeah, we definitely have not found product market fit yet. That's the phase that we're iterating, we're trying things, and we're talking with people to understand how they're thinking and what they need. We're seeing that, was shocked to see that a lot of developers, um, they don't really care about their personal development. A big percentage, actually. I always thought that developers are people that want to learn what's new. They're always looking at what's the cutting edge. But I actually saw that there are a lot of people that really want to close their Jira issues and then go home or go out for a coffee, and they don't care to improve their knowledge. But of course, there is a significant percentage of people that do care and they want to learn what the latest thing is and want to become more productive and want to be better in what they do. They want to grow professionally. So that's definitely the kind of people we want to attract and really identify and be able to reach out to.
What do you have
Uh,
seen during that period that you are make experiments, you are working on that, and what's the feedback that you are getting from the market?
Yeah, but I should tell you about the product as well. The end product we have envisioned is very comprehensive and truly mind blowing for us as well. Like we're getting so excited discussing about it and thinking about what it could do in the future. But given it will take several years to get there, we have put in front of us more achievable goals in the short term that we believe that can also generate significant value for users and lay the foundations for our future plans. Our first product that we really have released a part of it at least is the Bitloops language. It's a fourth generation transpiled language that has been built to help developers avoid pitfalls, follow industry best practices, and create easily readable, testable, and extensible code. We have released a proof of concept version in late October, and it has been attracting some interest in the developer community, but it's still quite limited for practical use. So we need to improve on that. And over the next few months, we expect to have a proper MVP that people are going to be able to use. And we're quite confident that they will get excited about that based on the feedback we have already received. But we have first to finish that to be able to give it to them and get that feedback back. But that's also going to be just the beginning because we have a lot of things after that on the Bitloops platform.
So that's the first step, I think. And
Yeah.
which are the channels that you are going to approach, to this to provide Bit language?
The challenges for people to start using it, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's what I said before that some people, I mean, everyone, if they don't get some like referral for what you're doing, if they don't know that that's a new thing, we're not Facebook, we're not Netflix, rolling out something new. I mean, Google with Carbon, it got so much attention, and they haven't even built it yet. But it's Google, they do a new thing, people are going to be interested. So we're definitely not that case, but we've seen other situations like Ruby on Rails, for example, that wasn't created by a huge organization and managed to do very well. So I think to a big degree, it's going to be up to us to manage and find the right audiences, to find the right influencers, to find the right people to promote this, create really good content. I think for us, like pretty much 50% of the business is going to be how well we communicate and how well we create content for people to be able to pair together with the system, to be able to become better developers, to produce better outcomes.
Okay, is something that it has probably to do with, education? It could be combined in an education program. So
Exactly.
to start with that and continue with that and play with that and actually be a master with that.
Yeah, that's exactly one of the ideas we're discussing is to really go after in the beginning for students because it's a great way for them to pick up experience and knowledge that really applies also to the industry. It's not just academic, but it is also academic. I mean, these principles exist since the 50s and 60s. But at university, you talk about object oriented programming. You give a very basic example. You have an animal that has some legs. Some of these are dogs. Some of these are, they inherit. Great, but you don't really understand like why it's actually useful because, then I remember myself. Then you're like a smart person. You're like, whatever, I can do it this way. It was much faster. It's even more performant. You don't have like the overhead of the objects and all that. But it's when you start working on bigger projects with many people that you realize, that these things about like how do you actually maintain this in the long term and how do you get a lot of people collaborating? That's the difficult part, the really difficult part. Making something just work, connect the database, put a button, click on it, and get it to work. It's not that hard, but like getting a big system that becomes pretty complex and still being able to figure out how it works and like make changes. That's the really, really difficult thing. And I think there's no company out there that like has raised that flag of like we are the ones that you should look at in when you're trying to solve that problem, both in content and in guidance and in our products. So that's what we really want to become. And it's a great way to start initially, because if you go to an enterprise, they're going to have a lot of requirements. They're going to want a mature product, right? But whereas people in education or people that are want to learn, they have a lower standard in maturity. So it's a
Exactly.
great place to get initial traction.
And what are you thinking about the business model? How you could generate money out of it?
That's a pretty good question and something we hear very often. But when you have a successful product that helps people create significant value for them, then there's always one or more ways to monetize. We see that with several open source projects, but our plan is to offer a hosted version of our platform where users would only pay based on the usage of the cloud resources of their system. While for those wishing to run our platform on their own cloud or servers, they would be able to purchase a license. So these are the two models we're thinking right now. Of course, you could have other sources of revenue like certifications, training, but the main thing should be the hosted system.
It's something quite common on that field, as
Exactly.
far as we have seen.
Yeah.
So, are there any companies that you believe that they are trying to do the same? So, do you have any competitors, and how you face, let's say, what are your competitive advantages?
Yeah, our closest, the closest company we see as a competitor is OutSystems.
Hmm.
It's a Portuguese low-code platform that is now worth billions. Our approach has several similarities, but also very significant differences. The Bitloops platform is based on open source technologies, and its core is open source software. And the code that is actually running in production at the end is the kind of code people hope to produce using traditional software development methods. So it's not like a proprietary system. Like what is generated, if you look at it, it looks like a normal software you would develop if you did a good job with design and architecture. In addition, while OutSystems makes commendable steps to help developers organize their system, following some important principles like modularization and so on, this is not done in an industry standard way. So, and why is that important? Because if it is done in an industry standard way, then it equips developers with transferable skills that they're able to use outside of OutSystems. Whereas without systems, somebody is going to learn how their system works, but if they leave that company that uses OutSystems and then they go do something else, then they haven't gained much personally, right? But the fact that by using Bitloops, you become a better software engineer in general, even if you start coding in Java or C# in the future, using traditional approaches, then you can take with you this experience and knowledge of good design architecture. You can apply it in any kind of software development environment. And we believe that's going to be a very significant help with the community adoption and
Mhm.
engagement. The Yeah.
Okay, so there is a big competitor, let's say, on the market. You face the same issue in a different way. So how big is the market, and what do you believe? How you see your initiative in the next 5 years, and how you see coding and design in the next few years?
I mean, the market is pretty huge. The CAGR, in all these sub market, let's say cloud computing or low code, and of course the money spent in software development are like many billions and growing with high double digits or 20-35% per year. So it's not much of a concern. It doesn't really make sense to really try and size it and say it's a market of 50 billion or 52 or 60.
It's
It
huge,
doesn't
yeah.
matter. It's definitely growing. It's huge. So it's just a matter of like, are we going to be able to create enough traction, and really, are we going to be able to have enough financing to reach that point? Because what we're solving is an engineering problem that involves humans as well, but through iterations, through having like an open mind and open ears, not thinking we have found the perfect solution and iterating through it, means that eventually we're going to reach a great way of solving this problem. Um, so it's a matter of raising enough money and getting there. Um, for the next 5 years, if everything goes well, we should be in a pretty stable place. The success phase, as they call it, and getting ready for the growth phase.
Okay, and what do you believe about the market? I mean, not only the market and the future of coding and the design. So no code and AI could help, could support, could make it run quicker. What's your perspective on that?
Yeah. So and also connected to the previous question that you asked about, the big competitor plus what the other is happening in the market. We're seeing a lot of like new low code players coming in. They're trying to sell this dream of scalable code, make it quickly, but they're really not doing it the right way. So it's mathematically certain that creating systems in that way is going to lead to very difficult to manage systems. You're going to face exactly the same problem. You're going to create a mess faster, basically. Yeah. Companies like OutSystem, that they have done like pretty good things in creating more modular code and having it organized, I think are towards the right direction. But what I think they're not doing as right, I mean, I cannot judge them, they're worth billions, it's great, but it leaves space for other players, is to go towards the open source route, right? Not such a closed and proprietary and very difficult system to enter. Like the OutSystems used to cost 50,000 per year, like minimum commitment to start working with it. Right now, they cost 1.5 thousand per month, but you have to get a 12-month minimum contract. It's not something like people are gonna, their weekend, they're gonna be like, let's learn how to code a bit with OutSystems. You need to have specific companies using it, and then have to learn how to use it, or have people that follow them and are specialists, let's say. But it's not a very open thing. So Bitloops is an open source project in its core, and we're going to make it very easy for people to start using without having to pay anything. And we think this could lead to a much greater adoption. Plus the industry standard methods and principles that we're using in the platform that help you gain transferable skills and acts as a very good education for developers as well.
So is it a community? So I mean that open source and products and services are based on the community. So how you see yourself and how you believe that you're gonna build a strong community and a network of people that would like to use the solution that and the language that you and the infrastructure actually that you build.
Yeah, I think community is really important. There are so many integrations, so many other systems you have to work with. Too much for one company, one team to handle. So it's definitely something that would benefit a lot from having thousands of people working on it, and then having millions using it. So if you take the strategy of something that is more closed, more niche, you can go for the big players if you are the first player. And if you're already a pretty old company that started potentially with a different product, other companies that I've looked in the past, they had started that do workflow orchestration, for example. They started initially working with banks and doing batch processing, and then they eventually evolved into workflow orchestration. But these players are kind of like dinosaurs. They started in a very old way of thinking, and they've adapted to the more real-time needs of today. But I think it's really important to start clean, like rethink the problem from scratch, and think what could be the best approach to this. And that's what we're trying to do. On the AI thing that you asked about, also that's another problem with the players. When creating low code systems that are like quite peculiar in the way they do things. Everyone do things their own way. Which makes it, I guess, a lot more difficult for AI then to know how to evolve the systems. Whereas if you create a standardized way of doing things, and you can have then a lot of data for the systems to learn from, then if you model very well the business needs, then you can auto-generate a lot of the code. And those are the kind of things I was talking about that we are planning for the future. But because there are so many things to be done before that, like it's not the main thing we advertise right now.
So there are too many things to do actually, and on that, I would like to ask you about your team, about the people that they build and have to do all of these things.
Yeah, I mean, we have a team of 8 people, all including myself, except my co-founder Sergio Pereira, are engineers. Sergio used to be also at the same group with Bit, general manager for Portugal. He has fantastic credentials, very business-minded, solid management experience, and we're both very seasoned business operators. So that's, let's say, the easy part for us. So Sergio is focusing on the go-to-market, on working with the communities, and I'm focused more on getting money, of course, and also as CTO, let's say, and working with the rest of the team very closely.
Okay,
The team also is quite experienced. Quite a few people were also at Bit, and we have worked together for many years.
so you said about the money, and that's the next question. So,
Yeah.
uh, how you get actually you are bootstrapped, and until now, as far as I know. So what's the
Yep.
plan?
So we did quite a bit of consulting work over the past year or so. We have started reducing that, and we started raising some money from angels. We got also some money from ESPA. So we are, for the next few months, we can afford to spend a lot more time on our product rather than doing consulting work. Consulting work is always, a last resort kind of thing that you can pay the bills and the salaries. But yeah, I think we're getting to the point now that we need to start raising a bit more money from angels to give us enough of a runway to get to some traction that's going to create an interesting round for VC.
So what's the amount of money that you're looking for, and what's the profile of the angels that you're looking for?
I mean, we are talking also with some VCs that invest really early. So we are getting
Either.
towards we've released the language. We start getting some stars. We start having something, but we need a few more months for that for sure. I mean, the ideal VCs would be technical people, right? That can offer a perspective as well. Also, people that potentially have experience with open source software, or have experience with creating communities. I mean, that would be fantastic. But at the end of the day, the most important thing for us right now is to create this runway to reach product market fit.
That's
And
great.
for the amount that you asked, because it's an important question, between 300 to 500 euros would give us, I think, more than enough time to reach a very interesting traction for an institutional round.
Okay, that's great. So I got the profile, I got the amount of money that you're looking for, and I've heard too many things about what you are doing and what are your competitive advantages and how you face the whole problem and what you are changing on the field. That's quite important. And on that stage, I would like to ask you to sum up, and if you have a favorite quote to share with us, and it will be great.
I guess because we are in the product market fit phase right now, there's a quote from a US novelist called Bradbury that goes like, "Life is trying things to see if they work," which I think is very relevant for us right now.
I see exactly. So it's been a pleasure to have you tonight, and I wish you the best. And I will keep on track, and we will be in touch for sure in the next few months, years, and
Yeah,
see how it's going. So thanks a
yeah.
lot.
Perfect, Thanos. Thanks so much for the discussion. Bye. Have a great Christmas.